Okay. Well, and we are live. Today is 26th of September, and this is OSRA Scrum. Here is Craig, Motasem, Nikita, and me. Well, Nikita, let's start with you.
Sure. So today was a big day for me. My sponsorship story, the pull request got merged. Thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
great.
Yeah, so it's in there, but since it turned into such a novel, basically, there are two things that were left sort of on the cutting room floor, and I turned them into separate stories on Pivotal. So they would be probably work on next to make sure that this functionality is completed as it was originally intended. And that's so I was wondering maybe I could get some advice from the team then. We have a chore and another story in the current sprint. But the stories that I created to finish up the sponsorship story, they are currently in the icebox. So I was wondering what would be more appropriate for me to work on in this case.
I think it's an extension. It's really your story, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a cadence, haven't you? You're familiar with the code.
Plus, I would really like to see it finished properly, not.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that we can deploy it and give up access to the client.
Yeah.
Well, where is this story that you talking about?
There are the two stories at the top of the icebox.
In Icebox?
Yeah.
Well, at least we should vote on them before you can start. After
Sure.
that, we can move it to backlog, and if you want and the team decide that you can choose it, just choose it from a backlog and work on it. You won't be able to finish them until Monday, as I understand, but you can proceed working later for the next sprint. I don't see a problem with it unless we have problems. Any of guys have problems in his story that your effort may be more rewarding in their stories. Just if not, that you can take other story.
Okay.
Yeah, but we should vote on them first.
Sure.
Okay. So we're waiting for that story to be delivered into production, right?
Or staging, I suppose, or
Staging.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Moto-san?
Okay, I have been working on. I submitted a PR, and for some reason, Travis' build was not successful, but although it was working fine on my machine. So I'm just investigating this. I'm not sure exactly what the reason is, but it has to do with the file upload. And maybe I'm just thinking like maybe on a Mac it's different from on a Linux where the files are being treated differently. So I'm just investigating that. It is kind of blocking me at the moment because I would like to move next to implementing S3 storage, but I have to finish this first.
Mm-hmm.
In addition,
I can put that on a Linux VM for you if you want and run that through the test.
if you have the time, yes, that would be helpful, yes.
Sorry, Moto, I just wanted to say I started trying to do that, but I didn't have anything really set up in my virtual machine, so I'm still trying to figure out how to get Postgres to work for the application. So Craig is probably going to be faster than me to do this.
Craig has some scripts ready, right? Like I saw some projects you worked on earlier. You have a script that you can run it on a brand new Linux machine to install everything.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, I mean,
I can do that. It's not a problem. I have a dev set up, and I can install it. I can set up a Vagrant machine within about 15 minutes. I can have a.
Great. The other thing I worked on as well is I reviewed the last merged PR from Craig, which is for the sponsor ID. I found some comments on the views, so I put a story for that. I also found out that we need seed data for organization. I have the data and it's in Arabic, so I can add it. So I added a chore to add these details. But before doing that, I also needed one story to be finished, which is the remove unnecessary data from the organizations. So,
and is that from the table? I know you said there's no views, but is that you want 2 columns removed from the table?
I want only 2 columns remaining in the table and everything. Yes, I added a comment. So basically, we just need a code and a name for an organization.
Do you want the timestamps left in there, or do you want them taken out too?
I don't care.
Okay.
Because, like branch, for example, timestamp is not important, but I think we just kept it as whatever was generated in the migration. I'm not sure if we have a stand or a view on this thing. Like, we take all the timestamps out for things that we don't need.
What's everyone's feel? Do we leave them in and just not show them? I mean, pulling the other columns out, I can do that.
There seems to be no harm in leaving that stuff in there.
Okay, that's fine.
We tend not to show them anyway.
When are you going to show to the client the stories which was finished in this sprint, but we haven't?
Yeah. This is how I found out this issue, because I wanted to deploy this and I tested it locally. I found this discrepancy in the UI, and I don't want to show it to the client and then they will come up with a bunch of comments specifically to those things. So I try to give them something that as close to what they want as I imagine it as possible. That's the way I thought about this.
Okay, so you
other 2 stories in the icebox, also we did not vote on them yet, unestimated.
Okay, we will vote on them. Okay, yeah. But for now you have a problem. It seems that.
The coding part, yes, I have a blocker here today, and I'll wait to hear back from Craig. Anyway, I'll be off for the next few hours. So when I come back, if there is nothing, I can do it myself, the VM, if I don't get any response. Or if I get a solution, then I'll just deploy it and make sure it passes this time.
Okay. Craig?
Sorry, I'm trying to do too many things at once. Motisum's sent me a message asking me to do 2 pivotal tracker stories. I've just submitted a pull request for one of them.
To sponsor OSRA ID?
It was to show the OSRA num in the view, and can't remember what the pivotal tracker story is. Let me just check.
Show the affiliate as well.
Yeah, and show the affiliate.
Yeah, I saw the PR.
Yeah, so that's in hand, and then the other one is the one that you've just been talking about. I can take those columns. That shouldn't be a big one, but I'll start on that after I've pulled down your branch and see if I can get the tests passing on this Linux machine.
Okay. So, what guys your forecast? Can we until the Monday can we show and accept the stories by the client?
I thought Monday was the day you were having that Motisum, is that right?
Monday is our meeting, internal meeting.
Sorry. Okay.
Do you have a scheduled meeting with a client at some point soon, Motisum, or just whenever?
But usually just like 1 or 2 days before, whenever I need to show them something, I can ask them. So there is no date.
Yeah, okay, but for now we have only 3 stories accepted, and I cannot understand the algorithm that we will use to accept other stories, because we cannot like just stay them here and that's it. We need to decide something about them, you know. We need to decide accept them or reject by the client or by our own, but it's not good solution. So we need to do something to accept them by the client, so we can view and accept them, you know, and go to the next sprint with understanding what our velocity is. That's my concern.
Yeah, my understanding from yesterday, I guess, is that the two stories, the organizations and the OSRA branches, because there is nothing to show to the client, they're all on the back end, that it would be, I guess, Modus MU who just accepts them.
I was thinking that you consider the client accepted. I mean, if the client accepts the OSRA ID the sponsor OSRA ID generation, implicitly that means they saw the list of branches in the drop-down, they saw the list of organization in the drawdown.
Right, right.
So
Mm-hmm.
all of those stories will be just one shot accepted, all of them.
So basically, the sooner we can show Craig's story to them, the better.
Definitely.
Okay, and when are you going to show Craig's story?
Already one story has been submitted. There is a PR for it. It's very simple. I don't think there will be comments on it. The other one, Craig said he's having his pipeline planning to do.
What do you mean the other one? I see only one story in backlog.
Which one are you talking about? No, I'm saying that two new stories in the icebox.
Remove unneeded data from organizations is the one
yes,
that I
but
haven't.
this is new stories. It's not for that sprint, right?
Okay, can we show the sponsor ID story without these two being completed?
Okay, so I can. They will come back with comments on the sponsor view, for sure. And they will. I mean, I have to fake some seed data for the organizations to fill up the extra columns as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it is possible, but I was thinking that it's fair to do it the other way around, where we clean up the table first, make sure that, and then I will seed the data, the actual real data, to show them the final generation of OSRA ID properly.
Okay, so this story, removing unneeded columns, there's nothing blocking it, right? This is basically just generating a migration.
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah. And then
Why we call it the story, guys? Why we call it the story?
Yeah, it's a chore, I suppose, right?
It's chore.
Yeah.
It touches the database, migrations. Is that still a chore? I mean,
well, it's not about feature, right? It's just about one-time task, or not?
It is a one-time task.
It's then definitely not a story. One-time task is just a chore to do. And in this case, if it's a chore to do, we do not need to vote it, and we can discuss what is this chore about, and if we need this chore to be finished, when we can move it to our current sprint.
That sounds good to me.
Correct, to work on it, you know.
It's easier now to do it this way, yes.
Yes.
I don't understand the point about it being a one-time thing. Everything we do is a one-time thing.
No, everything we do is a feature so that users use through all the application. But if you're talking about migration, it cannot be a user story, because migration is just about seeding the data, not on a regular basis, but just one-time migration. You know, it's a chore.
Yes. Add organization seed data definitely is a chore, and I mark it as such. But,
look, some pretty's done it already. If you look in the
this one or what?
No, yeah, it's already been changed to. I don't have an issue with this. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a chore if it's something we should have done as part of the original feature, isn't it? And then and have failed in some way to
Maybe.
realise that. I think that's the idea behind it.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Craig, can you resolve this chore?
I can work on it next because Sampriti's just said Motisum's tests are passing on Easybuntu 1404.
Oh, is this on the... Okay.
If you look at the group chat.
Yeah, I just saw this.
Okay.
Is that what Travis is running? Does anybody know?
I'm not sure about the Ubuntu and the version itself, but it's a Linux anyway, so that's the main difference.
It's running the same version.
Okay.
And the same for Heroku would be, right?
No, Heroku uses Debian, I guess, for now. Like Heroku will switch to Ubuntu 14 from next month when it introduces the new stack. So right now it runs on Debian.
Okay, dokie.
So in such a case, what should we do? Should I...
I've restarted the Travis build to see if that works or not.
It might be something great. Let's hope.
But it failed twice, right, Motisum?
Once.
Once. Okay, so maybe just a freak. Something just went wrong.
Okay. Craig, are you finished, or you have some problems to discuss?
No, I think I'm finished. Yeah.
So both tasks are chores now? The remove
I don't understand the second one task. Are you talking about
update or update
sponsor use?
Yes.
I don't know. As an author sponsor, effectively find required information about sponsor, I need the sponsor index view to display author name instead of ID.
So basically, we missed a couple of fields to display on the view. So we just need to add them now.
Yeah. If it's part of a feature, just sure. Yeah, of course. Let's just sure. Okay. And should I move it to current sprint or not?
Yeah, because I've just submitted a PR for it.
Okay, definitely one. Okay.
I can start on the seed data as well, assuming that the unneeded data chore has been also done.
Where is seed data here?
The next one. So now we have the chore just below it in Icebox.
In Icebox?
Yeah, there are two chores in the Icebox, Pavel.
Seed data. Okay.
Yeah. Both of them will be in current, and I'll start one, Craig will start one.
Okay, sure. Oh my god. We should finish it till...
No, I don't should finish.
Till Tuesday. Okay. And doesn't matter. Okay, Sampriti?
Like I came back to the project after a month, so I was just trying to get or go through everything that's been updated in the past month or so. I'm just trying to go through all the changes that have been made, and like in the orphan list feature, I was trying to make some changes because like after I'd left and Mortisum had merged that in, there were a number of things that were redundant. For example, we were supposed to be using like S3, but we are using file storage, so I changed that to S3, and then other than that, I was just doing some small refactoring, the specs and
But you need to be careful because this story we need to finish it in this sprint, so we can do refactoring if it's not affect the.
Sampriti, you said you already switched to S3? Because I have this as my last task in my story to use S3. So that was the next thing I was going to do. But you're saying that you already have some PR or at least some code working?
Yeah, I have. I mean, it's just one file, so I can hand it over to you if that's not a problem.
Okay, or we make this specific task done by a separate PR, which was the original plan anyways. But that PR would come from you maybe instead of me. It depends. But once we resolve this Travis build issue, then the next task on my list would be this.
All right. Then. Yeah, I didn't go to the list of tasks, so sorry for that.
Mm. Okay.
Okay. Uh, Guys, do you want to vote on any more story?
Sure, I would like to. Yeah, that would let me work on something.
Uh,
Two important stories for Nikita.
okay.
Can you guys vote without me? I have to run. Is that
Yeah.
possible? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't think we can vote without you because you are product owners. Models.
I mean, Nikita he's the one who wrote the story, so he will explain
Okay.
it. And
Uh-huh. Okay.
whichever vote comes out of the team, I trust that.
Okay. Okay,
It's
I
just
see.
on Fridays,
So, Nikita, when you should guide me, what story should I choose to vote?
So it's the first story in the icebox. Replace sponsorship destruction with an activation.
Mm-hmm. Someone finished task here.
Yeah, it actually. I ended up including it in the PR that was merged this morning, but it belongs here.
Okay. Okay, present story.
So the story is currently when you link a sponsor and an orphan, you create a sponsorship, and when you then unlink them, so for example, the sponsorship expires, then currently that sponsorship is destroyed. So there is no record left of it ever existing. And the idea here is that instead of destroying the sponsorship, we instead mark it as inactive, so that you can always see on the sponsors page, you can see the past sponsorships that he or she was engaged in. But of course, these past sponsorships, inactive sponsorships, they don't count against the total count of orphans that the sponsor is sponsoring.
Mm-hmm. Is this functionality was requested by a client?
Yes.
Okay. So what? Let's discuss what tasks should we need, like you already create them.
Yeah, so I already added the attribute to the sponsorship model, and it is now set to active by default upon being created. So right now there is a destroy method in the controller, and that needs to be replaced by a different one. The roots and the links in the views need to be changed. And there are also, like I said, these are inactive sponsorships, so they need to be displayed separately from active sponsorships, and they shouldn't count towards the number of orphans that are currently being sponsored.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, for me, it's quite clear story. Some pretty crack.
Yeah, I know what we're voting for.
Okay. Well, let's vote then. I will count 3 to 0 and let's see it. Okay. 3. Oh my god, sorry. Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. Craig and Nikita. Interesting.
Well,
Guys,
I'm
yeah.
biased because I know the code base and I wrote the story, so maybe it's a bit different in my mind than it is in all of yours, I suppose. So maybe I should try to sit out of this discussion.
But interesting that Craig said too also. Craig, you became optimist.
A
No.
a rare event. No, I just think compared to Nick's War and Peace, which was a 3, this is a little bit more straightforward.
To be fair, Craig, I would say that should have been a 5.
Yeah, but I mean, there's not.
What should have been a 5?
The link sponsor in an orphan story that I just
Oh, definitely.
submitted.
Guys, maybe we should invite 5 to our estimations.
I don't. Well, possibly, or maybe we should just break stories up if we think they're going to be
I personally not fond of 1, 2, and 3 because the main idea of that every story should be like 1, 2, or 3, and it's not the easy, medium, and hard actually. It's about really size of it, and 1-point story should be twice as easier as 2-point story, and 3-point story just 50% harder than 2-point story. And in this case, if 2-point story, if it is the field creation, we just create a field, new field, and update all views about it, like index, edit page, and so on. For example, in this story, we have not only to create a new attribute, but we also need to change the controllers to set it inactive. We need to change the roads, and we need to...
But those tasks have already been done, haven't they?
I don't know.
Well, yeah, the things that have been done are the easiest ones, basically.
But they're attributes in the database, aren't they?
Yeah.
You don't have to touch the database going forward.
No, not from this point on, no.
Yeah. So we're talking about a destroy method that rather than destroying the object marks it as inactive. And then we're talking about scopes, really, aren't we, in terms of displaying...
I don't know, but for example, this one ensure that inactive sponsorship are displayed separately from active ones. It's something that we should test properly, and
well, it's scopes. Yes, Craig, I think you're right. It's scopes, but it's scopes, I guess, on table joins. So
well, I mean,
it's a bit more complicated than just a scope on an attribute. I don't know, Pavel, you're convincing me.
I mean, at that scope, I think the scope argument is invalid because a table join isn't that much more complex than a simple scope because it's just a few characters more, right? So I don't think that's complex.
Why would you give it a 3 then, Sampriti?
Yeah, I give it a 3 only because you have to add in new views, and then you have you have to change the views, and then you have to change the routes. You have to change the functionality of destroy. So there are 3 things that need to be changed, which is why I give it a 3.
So, vote again.
Well, I'll say that I'm happy to revise my vote to 3.
But, Craig. Okay, well, Craig, 3. Where is... Interesting. So I can click here, or where I should... Oh, here. Okay. What else? Your story, Nikita?
The one that you're hovering over right now. This.
RESTful roles.
Yeah.
Okay, present it, please.
So when I implemented the sponsorship linking, basically my the URLs that were being created, as Craig correctly pointed out, were not RESTful in that they didn't represent very well exactly what action would take place when the user clicked on it. So currently, for example, the path to the URL to link a sponsor with an orphan is admin sponsors, sponsor ID, sponsorships, orphan ID. And so you end up with something like sponsors 2, sponsorships 3, for example. So it looks like you're talking about a sponsorship with ID 3. And he, I think, correctly suggested that I need to add the orphan to the path to make it clear that the ID refers to the orphan, not to the sponsorship. And
but for user, why should they bother about it?
I would say that, I mean, maybe I'm an exception, but I sometimes do look at the URL that either is displayed when I hover my mouse over a link, or that's shown in the address bar in the browser. You know, to be honest, I think this is more of a, you know, it's the more proper way to do it is to create this RESTful route that really represents what the action is doing.
Yes, maybe, but is it going to some business value, or we do not have
I
any
think it's
business value?
important for developer productivity.
Maybe
Well,
when
I
it
think
should be
when
chore.
I think well maybe it's a chore possibly, but I
Yeah.
think when we come back to it in the future, there's scope for ambiguity and confusion if we don't sort it now.
Yeah, I have no problem with it becoming a chore, sure.
Yeah, let's do with a chore, because I don't know if I mean if client said
No,
that
you're right. I think you're right. It does. It's not.
it's
Yeah.
not client
Yeah.
Yeah.
what client asked. Okay,
Mhm.
chore. We definitely need to do it, but just chore. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other stories, or you created only two?
I only created two.
Okay.
Yeah, just, is there any story like I wish I could work on maybe, even though I know this is like the end of the sprint, but can I take up any chore or anything like that?
We have in our sprint backlog now, we have a chore. Confirm delete requests ignored for non-deletable models. I think it's the chore we decided to do in the sprint, but doesn't have time to do it. You can take this one. Can anyone describe to some pretty what is it about?
Sure. Yeah. So it's easy to configure active admin to disable, for example, the destroy action on a resource. But the only way that we're testing it right now is by making sure that the destroy or delete link does not show up on the page. We're not actually testing that if you issue a delete request to the controller, that the model is not deleted. So this is it's a test to make sure that even if you bypass the UI and issue a delete request, the object is not deleted.
Okay.
So I think we were talking about request specs to
Yeah,
do this.
I won't do this in Cucumber. I'll just do this in RSpec for request.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
Okay, so you can take this one and work on it. And in this case, we will only doesn't have that import orphans story done in this sprint, but yeah, we just do not have enough time to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, any other questions to discuss? Ideas? Because tomorrow we have a weekend, and I don't know if anyone wants to work on weekend, but anyway, I still have. Yeah, I will make America Scrum, so if anyone wants to join, you can join on weekend, and have a great holidays, man.
All
You
right.
too.
Thanks, bro. Oh, yeah, guys. I don't know. Did you see that the Travis build failed again?
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
just.
it's because like Paperclip uses the Linux utility called file, and I think it differs on various versions of the. I mean, the result on Travis might be different than the result on our machines. So I think the file format that's supplied by in our specs need to be changed to be a real Excel file. I think that's a Mac Excel file. Like if you run file and then that spec slash file slash empty on XLS, you'll find that it's a Mac XLS file, not a Windows one. So that might be a reason.
Okay. Well, um, could be an easy fix then, right?
Yeah, I think we just need to create it using Windows Excel instead of Mac numbers, I guess.
Okay. Um,
Yeah.
okay then.
Okay, guys. See you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a good
Bye
weekend,
bye.
everybody.
Take care, guys.
All right. Bye.